Hello and welcome back to the Villa Filler podcast. I'm here as ever with my good friend Dan Wiseman. Dan, Aston Villa 2, Manchester United 2. I think before the game, we'd have taken that, Dan. But before we get into all of that, how are you doing, bro?
Not bad, mate. You look quite intellectual today. I was going to
I
say this
thought,
off
do you know
air, but I
what?
wanted to give you the compliment on air. You look very sharp in those glasses.
Do you know what? It's annoying me though because you can see the reflection. So I don't know how long this will last. You guys will have to let us know in the comments. But yeah, do you know what? Do you know what it was? I mean, obviously, as you can see, I'm in Sheffield at the moment, mate. And I still haven't unpacked everything, but I found my old glasses and I thought I'll put them on when I was working the other day, and I couldn't see shit. Like I've not worn them for like 4 or 5 years. I think I got them before I went to uni. Um, and I was at home for a bit last week because Charlotte went out clubbing and I didn't really want to risk missing any games. So I thought, right, I'll firm it. I'll stay at home back in Birmingham. So I'm at home and my mum's bothering me. She's badgering me. Go get your glasses. Go get your eye test done. I've had about 5 letters come through the post over the past month saying you need an eye test. I mean, this isn't sponsored by Specsavers, but as you guys know, we're open to sponsorships on the podcast. So Specsavers, hit us up, man. Let's get Dan a pair. Dan, I mean, how's your vision? How's your vision?
2020, mate. I've never had. This is a really nice way to sort of start it because I saw a few things in the game yesterday. We've said 2020 and I was pleased. I'm not so pleased with. But yeah, never had a problem with it. But I've got to be honest, mate. Looking at you here, you look very sharp. I'm quite intimidated. I'm fearing you're going to hit me with some very deep and quite very intelligent statistics that I'm not going to be able to match. They seem to take you to a new level, mate.
Oh, mate, you're too kind. You are too kind. I don't know how you've managed to contain this, mate. We've already been speaking for 10 minutes. You've really
I
scripted
know. I
this
felt
out,
it as
haven't
soon
you?
as I joined the call, but yeah, I
You are,
wanted to
you
give
are
you the
too
clout
sweet, man. Do you know,
online.
I was going to surprise you with them as
What can I
well.
say?
I was on the toilet. I mean, before there will be a sponsored bit in a minute, guys. Before we get into that, I was on the toilet and I was like, I was thinking, do I surprise Dan? Do I keep my camera off? Do I throw them on when we start recording? But I mean, that's enough glasses talk, man. You
Very
flattered
good.
me too much already. Let's get into into the game. Let's get into that. But before we do, first of all, a word from today's video sponsor, Days and Specsavers. Dan, have you ever wanted an app that collates all the scores and news from your favourite teams in the whole of Europe, Dan? Have you ever wanted that?
Is a constant need of mine, mate, because there's always news. That's the thing, is that we love this game. We love the industry of football because it's ever changing, mate, and you need a place to keep up with it all.
And we have that place exactly
We
for you
sure
guys.
do, mate.
It's One Football. Guys, this app is genuinely, it's life-changing.
It's great because I actually I use it. So it's great because it's where I pull the stats from for the podcast. So it's like there's all that new stuff as well, but you can track all of the players' stats from like across Europe for all the different leagues, for continental football as well. It's a dream. It's a dream. And the best part, mate, is it's free.
It's free, and guys, it would help support the channel massively if you check that One Football using the link in the description down below. We promise you guys won't be disappointed. That's it, guys. So if you have checked out if you haven't checked out One Football, sorry, make sure you do so. Top link in the description. It'd help Dan and I out a lot. I mean, it's a brilliant app. We can't speak highly enough of it. But Dan, now it's time for some deep intellectual analysis of our 2-2. Now, before that glasses, it's a shame we had to do the sponsor bit there because that vision is 2020 stuff, Dan. That leads us really nicely into the first goal. That was almost the perfect segue if it wasn't for a piece of sponsored content. But here we are. The first goal, Dan. It's just one of them ones, isn't it? And it's really frustrating because we'd seen it on Monday, Dan. We absolutely battered them. We battered them on Monday, and it always feels like against the top sides, Villa, for whatever reason, are the architects of their own downfall. There was a bit more of that later on in the game with the second goal as well. But Emmy, it's shocking, isn't it? He's fantastic. He's wonderful, and it will never happen again, or it won't happen for a very long time. But I just think the whole stadium was just completely and utterly shocked when that went in, mate.
It felt it's been a long time since we've seen something like that, and I think it comes from a free kick, which, I don't want to overanalyze, probably was a bit foolish to give it away. It's quite clever how United take it. But yeah, I mean, there's not a lot going on in front of Emmy. You and I were just discussing before we hit record, mate, as to whether Cavani's onside or offside. It's very marginal, but there's no great amount of movement by Cavani. Sort of hopelessly sticks a leg out at it. But I mean, Emmy will be very disappointed and was very disappointed. As you say, you can't criticize it too much. I think Gerrard hit the note very nicely in his post match, just saying that we deserve to be down. In the first half, it was a really poor performance. And if it didn't happen then, it would have happened another time. There were so many opportunities that United had. We just didn't go into the game at all for 45 minutes, and it's a shame that unfortunately it happened to Emmy. But the response of the whole team was great. To sing his name and pick him back up. And to be fair to him, I thought he had a really good game after that. Everything that he was asked to do, he did really well. I think you see when that happens to a goalkeeper, it can really damage your confidence and the way that they come for crosses, they overthink things. Their goalkeeping has to be instinctive at the end of the day. That's how it is. And once you start overthinking things and there's too much of a thought process behind things, then things can go even worse. And to be fair to Emmy, I think the fans picked him up, and from then on, it was flawless as usual. And I think it's a shame that it just happened when it did, because with everything that went on before the game, the atmosphere was great. Everyone in the stadium had fourth degree burns from those the little pyrotechnics that was going on. It was fantastic. The atmosphere was great. I went to see the 82, the unveiling of the Champions of Europe sort of plaques, I guess you call them. It was brilliant. It's just a shame that 5 minutes in, that goes in, and from then on, we were fighting a bit of an uphill battle. But yeah, no, I thought Stevie hit the nail on the head, taking the blame completely off Emmy, and just saying as a team, it was a collective mistake, because we weren't in the game at all for that first half.
How refreshing is it though, Dan, to hear? It's been, we love Dean Smith to death on this podcast, we really do. And this isn't just digging out Dean, this is digging out pretty much every single manager we've had in our lifetime. How refreshing, Dan, is it to hear the manager come out and accept we didn't play badly? Except that we did play badly. You don't hear that. How many times have Villa been played off the park, Dan? And we've had managers come out and with their media trained nonsense and say, we played well, we did this, we did that. It's all complete and utter rubbish. Gerrard knows that wasn't acceptable. So to hear that was brilliant. And as well, Dan, the one thing that I've been thinking about it all day since I've seen the post, mate. Gerrard posted a pic of his lads in the Villa goalkeeper kit. And tagged Emmy Martinez in it. A lot of people may just think, that's cute, great to see, whatever. That's really deep. That's he's telling him, look, my lad looks up to you. Don't deep it too much. You were great. For me, that subliminal messaging is so important. I think we spoke about it before, Dan. It seemed like it leaked that there was this sort of health, wellness, mental health, private Instagram group that Steven Gerrard had kind of set up, and people have found it, but obviously it's on private, so you can't see it unless they accept the follow request. But little things like that, for me, it's massive, mate. Honestly, we can't underestimate it. And as you said, mate, everybody picked Emmy up. Everybody was chanting his name. It was a massive relief, obviously, that we managed to come back into it, because unfortunately, with how things are, if we lose that game, naturally it all falls on Emmy, really. That's just how it would work. Whether that's right or wrong, the conversations would be around that goal that we conceded. So to see this kind of stuff, mate, this is I'm falling in love with Steven Gerrard even more every single day, mate. I can't speak highly enough of that, because how often when the chips are down, and it could have been so easy for him to go, listen, that's totally unacceptable from Emmy, whatever. It would have been really unfair. But I think how many times, mate, did Brucey dig out Villa players when they'd had a bit of a stinker instead of taking responsibility for himself? For me, that is that is absolutely what management is about. And Gerrard, he's just brilliant, man. Honestly, like I feel like I've laboured this point a bit, but I've been thinking about it all day. That's massive, mate. If I'm Emmy and I see that, I'm buzzing, mate. Honestly.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's added pressure on a goalkeeper because you are different from the rest of the team. You know, Emmy will train separately in the week. We'll be on a completely different sort of regime. Like the hours weren't there. Like you are, you know, when you're on the pitch, that's one of the few times in a week that you're all the goalie is there with the first team, and so those kind of mistakes, you know, that they are one on their own goalkeepers, and you know that it can become a little bit divisive if the players feel that the keepers let them down and everything like that. But no, I think that the togetherness of the squad showed, and you know, I think Emmy is someone that Villa fans will, you know, forever adore. And I said that the scenes at the end when, you know, he gets redemption, and I think that there were so many moments in the game where, you know, he made saves and everything like that, and it was as if it never happened. And I think, as you're right, mate, it's because of the mental side of it that you were talking about. And I think the first half ended at a good time. Really, we sort of improved slightly, but nothing major. To be fair, we had some good opportunities to maybe even go in level. You know, Buendia has a good header saved by De Gea, and Coutinho almost missed out on a dream debut goal. And so I think we improved marginally. We grew into the game a little bit, but it wasn't a great performance really. Nothing to write home about. I felt like halftime came at a good moment. And then second half came out and completely different side, and I think that's a bit frustrating because, you know, if it's there, we need to be able to do that from minute one. But you got to give credit to I think this is a game, and I think it's great that you've given Stevie credit, mate, because I think this was a game that showed just how brilliant of a manager that he is, because everything he did tactically completely paid off. Every substitution came on and was fantastic. They all did their jobs. They were timed well. I had absolutely no qualms with any of the decisions that were made on a tactical end. It was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And I think, you know, this game really showed that Stevie can go up against the best, because you have to give United credit. I thought in the first half they were really good. I thought the Rangnick system was really starting to pay off. They were pressing us. They were making it really uncomfortable for us. I think I don't often do it on the podcast, but their away support was great. It's one of the better away followings that have come to Villa Park this season. Didn't stop making noise in that away end. And I think the in-game changes to use, you know, obviously we'll talk about Coutinho, but Coutinho and Buendia as the 10s and really push that right-hand side where they had the weakness with Dalot and everything like that was just brilliant. And so, yeah, I think whatever Stevie did at half-time paved the way for even further changes in the second half, which worked a treat, mate.
I think as well. I don't know if I'm in a minority here. I thought Sanson had a really good game. Sanson,
yeah, he was fantastic.
I mean, SofaScore have him down rated as a 6, which I think is incredibly harsh. I feel like Morgan Sanson is holding back. I feel like we've seen how fantastic he is, Dan, for Marseille. We've seen him dominate a midfield that consisted of Kevin De Bruyne, Ilkay Gundogan, Bernardo Silva in the Champions League. We've seen him really own that position. I feel like, and I think it is just an injury thing. I'm not digging him out here. I feel like there are one or two more gears from Sanson, having watched him a lot before, that I think he's withholding for now. It's understandable, I guess, with all the injuries he's had and the sort of the lack of game time. But I mean, his positional sense is unrivaled almost. I think there are times, and this is maybe just a thing with getting used to the system, where he was a bit late in tracking the run of the fullback. I think there were a few times where Cashew was overloaded and left in sort of isolation there. So there's some work to be done there. But when Villa often lost possession and were trying to contain United, who were coming to break, the amount of interceptions that this man made, I mean, he's phenomenal. He reads the game so well. And not only that, he managed to pick up fairly quickly that David De Gea cannot, for the life of him, pick out one of his own teammates. De Gea must have made about 5 goal kicks go straight to Morgan Sanson's chest, which is just absolutely wonderful. Yeah, made 4 interceptions, 1 tackle, 3 dribbles, fantastic. One half of his duels, of course, he makes the error that leads to the second goal, which unfortunately was his downfall. It looks like he volleyed a bottle into the crowd. I didn't see that. Yeah. I don't think he meant that to whoever he may have hit. I don't think that was at all directed at you. But I mean, if we're being honest there as well, Dan, I think Dean sells him a bit short with the pass initially. And yeah, I mean, it's a poor pass from Morgan. You can't avoid that. But no, I thought he had a really good game. And again, you know, this is now there's no Wes, Dan. This is the Sanson filler, and there's no Keenan either. So this is the Sanson filler. We love this man, and I think he deserves a bit more credit for his performance.
100%, mate. And again, got to give Stevie his flowers for saving that situation, because God knows what was going on under Dean Smith and between the two of them. I mean, Santon was really frozen out, and Stevie looks to have come in and saved the day. He's had personal conversations with Santon that just make him play with so much aggression. And that's what I thought. That's why I think, you know, the stats may not read as impressive as they were, because they don't measure stuff like that. I just thought the tenacity and the aggression that he played with, the desire to prove people wrong, is great. And look, yeah, you know, obviously I'd rather them not going into the crowd, but being frustrated at the performance and being taken off, knowing that you could have done better and could have done more, that's fine. Absolutely fine. I love to see that. It's you know, it's the same display of emotion as Emmy jumping in the crowd at the end, just that relief that, you know, he hasn't, thankfully Emmy had that moment of redemption, but for Sancho it's just frustration that that's how it will go down in that game, is that, you know, that the performance will also be remembered for, unfortunately, you know, selling that pass back to Mings a little bit short. But no, I thought he was great, mate. I really did. We've got so many different options now in that midfield. You know, I think I'm going to do it quickly because it will soon become the Coutinho show here on this podcast, and I've got to give Dean a shout out because I thought he was great. Brilliant debut. Put in some fantastic crosses and gave us the dynamicism down that left-hand side that you don't really realise until you've got it. Is that I feel fullbacks are one of those positions where you don't necessarily realise how much you're lacking until you see someone like Dania come in and go, oh, okay, but this is a good fullback. We've been thinking Matty Targett's been good for years and years, and he has, and you sit, but as soon as you see someone come in like Luca Dean, you go, okay, that's what a top-class fullback looks like. I thought he was brilliant. He's going to be so important for us. What an asset. But yeah, there were just so many good performances yesterday that I feel like it's been partially glossed over just how good he was in a debut. It's not easy to come in and make your debut after just a few days of training, especially in a defence. It's really difficult. Yeah, I thought he had a very solid game. But yeah, for Morgan, I hope we see a lot more from him. You know, obviously we've got McGinn coming back next game, although I do think we lose Dania, I believe, to suspension. I think he's accumulated so many yellow cards, so I think it will be Matty Target back in for the next game. But yeah, no, I thought those two boys on that one side of the midfield were both great,
mate. They were, and you know, Dean, 66 touches, mate. He had a shot as well, which was brilliant. Nice little instinctive shot after. I think it was Emmy that picked him out, actually. A nice little reverse cross. Nice to see us switch the play like that. He 4 aerials, won all of them. Again, I'm really that really satisfied me, because when we were looking at him, and you know, there has been some comments, and I think there are some fair criticisms of his defensive performances over the years. But I mean, being as small as he is, winning every single header, it's something that we pointed out in the thing, Dan. So I was very satisfied to see he didn't lose a single aerial duel. I think he flagged a little bit at the end, but that's to be expected with not playing as much. I think the cramp was playing for time as well, if I'm being perfectly honest. But as you say, mate, that dynamism is wonderful. And listen, I don't expect Dean to have as many touches on the ball or to be carrying the ball very far. I don't expect many progressive runs with the ball. Dean's the man he's in the correct position to cross the ball every single time. And that's what's really important. He made 6 crosses, again, 2 key passes, 86% pass accuracy. What a debut. And it's only been outshined, Dan, by the one magician. And mate, I can't believe Philippe Coutinho is wearing Carrot and Brew and came on. It still doesn't feel real. Wow, what a cameo. What a cameo. And I don't want to gloss over JJ's goal. We should probably talk about that first, because wow, that meant a lot. The quick feet, the power, the instinctive finish, to put that away was amazing, mate. Honestly, that was a really good goal. And I'm glad JJ got his first goal at Villa Park in front of the whole ends. We all know the one against Leicester should have stood. It's a shame he couldn't, given the circumstances, or well, not couldn't, but didn't celebrate as much as he would. Because I feel like, first of all, mate, you would have seen the limbs in the whole end were fucking phenomenal. Like, if anything, you want him to throw himself in there, don't you? Obviously, COVID permitting, because if him and Emmy get COVID, if Emmy gets COVID, I'm going to be absolutely livid from jumping in the crowd. But it's that release. It's everything, and considering the context of this game and the FA Cup game on Monday, you just know how much it meant to him and to us.
Yeah, it felt like, to be honest, I was preparing myself to be a little bit disappointed with the Coutinho cameo, because he hadn't played for Barcelona in so long. He had COVID recently. Stevie was saying, although he's trained, he's not really match sharp and stuff like that. And I sort of felt like, if he comes on and he doesn't play too well, don't be too disheartened, because there's all this. It's been a very tumultuous period for him. As we've made it very well known on this channel, that he hasn't played a fat lot of football recently. As I said, was ill and everything like that. And I thought, you know what, just take it easy. But no, I was completely proved wrong, man. He just comes on, and it felt so surreal. And it was one of those where I didn't see the Sanson back pass for Bruno's goal, because Coutinho was on the sideline. He was waiting to come on. And it's so frustrating, because had we just, if the ball had gone out of play, or that shot didn't go in, or if it hits the bar and goes over, it's still 1-0. And Coutinho is literally waiting and ready to come on. And I think if he comes on at 1-0, we win the game. And I think that it was fantastic. I thought he'd got the assist for the first goal as well, but it looks like it's Fred that just pokes it through to him. And great for JJ as well. Another player who was fantastic yesterday, absolutely fantastic. I think, and it was just fantastic. You knew as soon as you saw that ball from JJ go across the box for the second goal. Brilliant. It's just amazing to see him arrive onto that and put it in. It brings such a smile to my face. Shout out to our captain as well for the first goal, who slalom past 3 midfielders. But remember, he can't play the ball out from the back. All he does is hoof it. But here he is slaloming through Man United's midfield. The second half performance was just magical, mate. Coutinho was just the tip of the iceberg, but Buendia yesterday that's the best I've ever seen him in a Villa shirt. Fantastic. Everything that was good went through Emi Buendia. JJ was great again. The only player who I didn't think had their best day was Ollie Watkins, but he was okay. He didn't have a bad game. I just didn't think it was one of his best. I think, unfortunately, Coutinho, Watkins and Buendia spells the end of Danny Ings in the first team for at least a little while, because I think that will be the way it goes. Unfortunately, it's always, whenever it's Watkins innings up front and trying to work it out, it's always Danny that gets pulled first. And so I think that there's a bit of a preference towards Ali. But yeah, I thought Ali was the only guy that didn't have his best game yesterday. Everyone else in that front line was brilliant. And just to see Coutinho doing what he does. And as I said, mate, if this is him not match fit, just recovering from COVID, and he's coming on doing things like this, then we're going to be in for a great, great season,
mate. Do you know what it is as well? And again, I hate to mention him. I'm not obsessed. Jack Grealish don't do that. He don't, and what watching the goal back, at first he bundles it in, right? He bundles it in. But Coutinho, as the ball's coming across, Coutinho realizes he's got to hold back, right? So you see that he manages to completely stop his run, to guide the ball in. But then like the momentum of that, the sudden stop, sort of sees him bundle into both De Gea and the post. He don't do that. I ain't saying his name, but he don't do that, mate. He doesn't put his body on the line like that. Like that's what impressed me, man. That's like not only just seeing him on the pitch, you know, having the fourth most expensive player in the entire history of the game, Don, the famous claret and blue, and seeing him walk about in Nike boots, which is something that seemed to have been wrong about. He was an Adidas athlete, but quite clearly is now wearing Nike. So hopefully something can get resolved there. Please, Nassef, cut the check. But no, like the fact he's not played football for so long. As you say, he's had COVID. He's made a few cameos here and there this season for Barcelona. You know, rightfully so, will have been completely devoid of any and all confidence before he stepped through the gates of Bodymoor Heath. To see him throw himself at that's told me everything I need to know, man. He's all in. He's all in, and that just gets me so gassed. Honestly, mate, I don't want to talk about Ollie Watkins because that'll put me in a mood. Because I have some choice words to say about that performance. It was an absolute disgrace. But that's all I'm going to say on it. I think he, honestly, respect Danny Ings. That is all I will say. But mate, to see Coutinho do that, wow, it was special. And a special shout out to Courtney as well, coming on. Was spraying them passes. Seemed to be the only person who was looking for Luca Dean as well, Dan. Courtney was the only one looking for the out ball. And yeah, not every pass made it, but you know, shout out to Courts. You know, we're here and there renegotiating that deal. Hopefully that gets done. And I mean, that Alanya, that was a horrible challenge on Esri. I don't care what anyone said. People were saying, commentators were laughing, saying that Esri was making the most of it. Obviously, we didn't really hear that or see that because we were in the ground. And naturally, that kind of stuff doesn't ever make it onto the highlights package. I've not watched the full 90 back like I usually do. I've seen the highlights again, and yeah, I've not seen that. But that challenge was nasty, man. And I really hope Esri's okay, because you could, you know, from where I sat, you could really see he was in quite a lot of discomfort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was for what it was worth. I thought Anthony Elanga had a good game yesterday. I was a little bit like, oh, okay, there's a weak spot in the team that we can exploit, but I thought he had a good game. That's the first time I've ever seen him play, really, and I thought he had played all right. But yeah, the challenge was bad, and you know, Esri's not really one to he tried to make it work, but you could see that he was in discomfort. And Courts comes on, and he played an absolute blinder of a ball with his right foot. And you think, bloody hell. And then he tried it again about 5 minutes later and put it straight into Fred. And I was like, okay, right. let's maybe, well, you know, end it on a high there, Courtney. We got one. Let's temper those expectations, because, you know, he hasn't got a right foot. And I thought it was interesting that I would have personally put Mings over on that side, because I think Mings has got a better right foot than Courtney, and I think as a captain and as the more established player, you put him out the comfort zone before you put Courtney in. And Courtney did a good job, considering, you know, every time he gets the ball, he does have to come in onto that left foot and you know, try and play that way. And I thought Matty Cash did well in covering that. He brought a lot of energy to the game yesterday, as he always does. And yeah, I thought it was one of those where the Coutinho, as I said, I think the best way to put it is just the tip of the iceberg, because Ramsey was the star for me. You know, getting a goal and assist, finally getting that goal that he wanted on in front of the whole 10. Carney came on and was brilliant.
Really was.
Helped us control the game, and in those vital minutes, just played like a seasoned midfielder that could come on and just take the game by the scruff of the neck and put it on our tempo, play it on our terms. And it's just a shame that it was weird, mate, because sometimes in every other situation, you come back from 2-0 down to draw 2-2 and it feels like a win. but it didn't in a way, did it? It felt like there was something more. It felt like a game that because we made 2 mistakes for their goals, that it should have been a win. The draw felt like that. The outburst of emotion for me was just because that's what we deserved. It was such a frustrating game up to that point because it was 2-0 and it shouldn't have been because we gave them the goals. And that, I think that outburst of emotion is because we it felt just, and it was brilliant. The noise in Villa Park was fantastic. And I thought it just seeing that Coutinho moment is something we'll remember for a long time. And I want to use this podcast for a good cause, mate, because there's a chant going around. Have you seen it? Of those lads sat at the table. It's brilliant. And I want to use this podcast as a vehicle because we don't have any new chants. We have like at home games, we have like 5 songs that we cycle through. LA, LA, LA is like the only new song that has made it like into the pantheon of like the most used Villa chants. We don't do it. I can't have like, oh, Felipe Coutinho. I'm not having it. I don't want this is really much of it. It's great. It's going around into it. If you haven't seen it, search for it because I want to get it going. It's fantastic because we have all these fantastic players and we also need a chant for Stevie G as well. Because I would say every away end is going to sing the Denver Bar, that song, and we can't really counter it with anything. So I'm putting it to the good people of this podcast in the comments. I want to see some ideas for some Stevie songs because we need to give him some love because he's brilliant. He's leading this charge, and we all sort of sit there and twiddle our thumbs when the away end inevitably sings that, and we need something to counter it with. But yeah, the Coutinho chant is great, and he grabbed the badge. Why is he doing that? Dan, tell me, why did he do that?
I wish I could.
Why? It made me. I'm like, oh, you can't fall in love with a lone player. You can't, but I am. I've already done it.
We're going to buy him
the badge. I'm like, I hope so, mate. I hope so because that will break my heart. Of that, we're just watching that goal, that moment, and seeing him grab the badge afterwards. Well, if he's not in Carrot and Blue permanently as of next year, then that will be something that that Wolverine meme where he sat on the bed with the picture frame. That would be me just looking at that moment again and again on my phone. I'll never forget it. Hopefully he does sign because if not, that's some emotional trauma right there, mate.
Mate, I cried when he scored. I feel it.
I feel it. I totally get it.
It was powerful. Honestly, it was so powerful. As well, one thing I wanted to mention before we wrap this up, Dan, I was sat before the game. I was stood with my dad and some of his friends, James Cartwright. Shout out to James. Him and his lads listen to the podcast a lot. And they're now on iTunes for you, James. So hopefully, if you've made it this far, James, text me. Do a little shout out on the podcast. He's been harassing me for months, mate. Get him on iTunes. That's a note for you as well, Dan. Send me just the audio version so I can put it on iTunes.
Yes, I will do.
We transfer me that. So we're sort of sat tucked away in the corner behind that new, wonderful looking Punjabi grill, which I want to try it so bad, but I can't. I'm on a program. I get another shout out to Aaron Clark, coach. I didn't eat any, I promise, but it looks really good. It looks so good. So we're kind of sat tucked away behind there, having our usual pre-game chat, all that kind of stuff. And as you'll know, mate, there's the shutters in that corner, right? I've in the championship days, they used to keep them open, didn't they? Because you used to come down to the Holt a fair bit. I know I've seen you sneak through them. And we're having our conversation, and they lift the shutters up, and usually it's just the caterers, it's whoever, it's what they lift it up, right? And there's a whole ass entourage, and I'm like, what's this, right? What's this? I'd forgotten as well that they were doing that whole European Cup thing that you mentioned at the top of the podcast, Dan. And I see this little man in a suit walking past. And I'm like, oh, he looks important. Who is it? It's Christian bloody Perso. I couldn't believe it, mate. He's about 5 foot.
He's tiny.
The only reason I knew it was him was because there's then this 6'6" Donny who's got ginger hair, who's obviously Langer walking behind him. And I'm like, it's Joe Langer. Naturally, they didn't stop. They absolutely weren't stopping. But yeah, I mean, it was probably about as close as I am to the camera now was Christian Perso. I wish we could have Wish could have had a
McGinn was there
conversation.
too, I think. McGinn joined them when they unveiled the 1982 thing. McGinn was there. I don't know if you saw him as well, but he
No,
was
no,
with Langer
I
and
doubt they'd
Purslow
have
as
let
well.
McGinn walk through the concourse of the Hull. I think that would have been carnage. I think Purslow can get away with it. Purslow and Lang, they'll stop for one or two selfies, but you get John McGinn on the concourse in the Hull. Oh God, that'd be carnage, mate, wouldn't it? I mean, he could well have been there. I didn't see him, but
Apparently,
yeah,
apparently Coutinho's family were in the Trinity.
I'd heard that as well. Again, do you know what it? What my one thing I absolutely hate. Sorry, I'm going on a little rant here. I'm trying to wrap the podcast up. This really irks me. Right. First of all, people who are sharing videos of Douglas and Alicia necking off. Right. You are an actual sex offender. Do not put that on Twitter. I do not want to see that. Nobody wants to. Who's screen recording that? That's wrong. Second of all, people who are simping over their relationship as well. Grow up. Like nobody wants to see that, right? And then third of all, I've got my thought about it. Right? Okay. People who simp over Glenn Whelan's wife. Stop it. Glenn Whelan isn't on Twitter for a reason. His wife
mate.
barraged with loads of messages saying how much you love him. You don't love him. You hate Glenn Whelan. But that then leads me on to this next point. Do not, and I repeat, do not simp over Coutinho's misses. Don't do it. It's wrong. It's not. It's just weird. It's just weird. Like he's gonna be with an attractive girl. That's natural. He's a bloody multi-millionaire, right? I don't want to see her on the timeline. But what I will say, it was quite a nice pic of them that they put. I am literally contradicting myself right here, but the day after he signs, they took a photo in the Belfry. I'm going to assume they were in the Belfry, both wearing the Villa shirts. That was nice to see. It's nice to see that they're in the Trinity, Dan, and that, you know, again, what I said earlier, he's all in. That's what I like. If I see another picture of her on my timeline, just her by herself, or if I see another picture of bloody Dougie and Alicia, I'm deleting the app, mate. I can't do it. Like, grow up.
Yeah, man. I totally. I love that compliment for what it's worth. I love it. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
It's great. It's nice. I don't want to see them making out, mate. I love you and Chloe, Dan, but if I had videos of you and Chloe making out on my Twitter, that would be incredibly weird, right? It's totally wrong. Shout out to Chloe, great, but like I don't want to see that. No, nobody wants to see that. So yeah, please, guys, just stop. It's just weird. It's so weird. I can't get my head around it. Honestly, mate.
Stop it. Get some help.
Yeah. I think I need help as well after that. To be honest, that's all of my rage that I was going to direct towards Ollie Watkins. So we've got that out of the way.
Yeah, good. Probably for the best.
But we should probably end it here, Dan, because this has been a long one. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. And as well, if you haven't checked out OneFootball, make sure you check it out in the top link of the description. Before I forget, I have home and an away shirt because we've hit 5,000 subscribers. These are going to be really hard to get a hold of now, Coutinho signed, because everybody wants one. We will be doing the giveaway within the next week. So yeah, just so you know, it's real. The shirts are here. Not that anyone's ever accused us of doing fake giveaways, but it's always good to be transparent. So yeah, we'll sort that out over the next week or so. And yeah, if you guys have enjoyed, make sure you subscribe, because I mean, 5K, it's only the beginning, Dan. It's only the beginning.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
That's it. So yeah, if you enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe, and up the Villa.